With us today is Coach Tim Hips. Coach, how you doing?
I'm good. And yourself?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Coach is an assistant coach at Central High School in Capitol Heights, Maryland. Coach, tell us a little bit about yourself, your basketball background, and what's brought you to Team FastModel.
Well, I started out coaching probably about 15 years ago. I was a teacher in a K through 8 middle school. I was probably the person with the most basketball aptitude in the building. And it just started there. I went from coaching, 6th and 7th graders to coaching high school. And I've been at it for about 15 years, trying to integrate, education and sports.
Okay. Yeah, it's once you get into coaching, you get hooked pretty quickly.
Yeah, you do.
So, Coach, tell us a little bit about what you look for. I know that people who follow you on Twitter see a lot of X's and O's. Tell us a little bit about maybe your basketball specialty or what you look for when you're watching basketball.
When I'm watching a game, I typically look for actions or sets that are easier for high school kids to remember, things that don't have, too many intricacies in them. Another thing that I like to look for is, a little bit of late game decision making. Sometimes I think, kids at the high school level and even in the NCAA really don't understand, time, score, and situation. They don't seem to understand that maybe some of the shots you take or the fouls you commit in the fourth quarter aren't necessarily the shots you take and the fouls you commit in the first quarter. So a lot of times I'm looking for X's and O's, but then I'm also looking for, some of those vignettes, some of those situations to go back and share with my team about some of the decisions, players have made and why they made those decisions in the last 5 minutes, 2 minutes of the game.
That's something that we need to remember, is that regardless of some of the X's and O's that we provide, it's going to be different for each team, and that you should work hard to make it your own and
right.
Make those options work for your personnel.
Right.
So, excellent.
Right.
Coach, we got the 4-point play here. You ready?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Number 1, your favorite social media follow.
My favorite social media follow outside of FastModel, honestly, is probably going to be pickandpop.net. I think that's Zach Bourvar. I think I'm pronouncing his last name right. That's his website. He's got a ton of information, X's and O's, coaching philosophy, leadership, anything that you could possibly need. You can probably find at his site, and his Twitter account. Pretty much is a flag for when he's got something good and new at his site.
Awesome. We'll link that up for everybody. Number 2, your favorite basketball memory.
Whew. And only one?
Just one.
Just one. Okay. It's a recent favorite memory. I did a friend a favor. I'm an assistant coach in high school, of course, but I had a friend who had a 6th grade team who needed a coach because their coach bailed out on them in the middle of the year. And when I got them, they didn't have any organization in their playbook or anything of that nature. So I kind of used what the kids liked about the pros and kind of got their attention that way. And one game I got them to run Jungle Hoya Fence, the infamous Golden State Warriors elevator screenplay. And they ran it right, and the kid made the shot. So that was about 2 years ago. So that's a pretty fond memory. You get those kids to be able to run that set and to get it to work well.
That's awesome when you can teach it, see it on the court, see them execute it. That's a great one, Coach.
Right.
Number 3, your favorite book or last book that you read.
My favorite book and the last book I read are the same book. It's Leadership and Self-Deception by the Arbinger Institute. And it talks about, it's pretty much a leadership book, but I think it's something good for coaches. It touches on what they call being in the box. You having this attitude or perception toward another person, and that person sees the attitude that you have, and that in turn influences their attitude, and that in turn influences what you see from that person, and there's this cycle. And I think that's something good for coaches to read, to kind of see how uh, what we do for our players in turn influences, or what we don't do in turn influences their attitudes and actions, and then that in turn influences our impressions of them. It touches on that, and then the other thing it talks about is how you should always, for your people, the people under you, you should always wonder three things: how can you help them? How are you being a hindrance to them? And how can they help you? How do you both share a common goal? A common objective. So I think it's a pretty good book that I would definitely recommend to coaches.
It sounds like a great read, not just for coaches, but for people in business and educators as well.
Yeah, and I think for business and educators, that's who it's geared towards. But I certainly read it and saw what a coach could take from it. Yeah.
Well, that's coaches across the world are reading leadership books and leadership, because that's what coaching and teaching is. Is
right.
Connecting with young people and helping them learn and point them in the right direction.
Right.
All right, number 4. What coach did you learn the most from?
Ooh. I'm going to say that I don't know if it's supposed to be a coach that I've met before, but I've never met him. But I think I learned the most from Kevin Eastman, assistant coach for the Los Angeles Clippers. He shares tons of great information. Anywhere that he's speaking or anything that's for sale of him speaking, I buy. Whenever he sends out a newsletter, I read it. Kevin Eastman has tons of great information, and it's very interesting. His thoughts, him being a professional assistant, his thoughts on shooting properly, play time. It's amazing how, as a professional assistant, he has thoughts and has experiences that are equal to what we have as high school youth coaches. So I would say Kevin Eastman. He's probably most influential to me.
He's fantastic, and I've seen him speak a number of times, and every time I fill up a notebook, he speaks in those bullet points that it's just it's really easy to consume, and I love everything he does. That's a great one, Coach.
Yeah.
So, all right, Coach. Other than in the FastModel play bank, where can our audience find you?
They can find my YouTube channel, which is mathinbasketball.com. It's my YouTube username is math, the letter N, basketball. I've got pretty much a good bit of sets and actions on there. I've got some NBA drills there. I've actually also got some of our players that are highlights there. But you can find me there on YouTube and on Twitter at math in basketball as well. Math, the letter N, basketball.
We'll link that up. You can also find Coach Tim on team.fastmodelsports. He's got a couple great shooting drills for your offense posts that have come out, and a couple posts still on their way. Yes. Coach, thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you, Justin.